99% of you have taken the VIA survey at this point. If you've not taken it in the last, let's say, 2 years, then you should definitely take it again, because there's a newer version on the website and it's an improved version. So you could certainly do that. It's shorter. It's 96 questions instead of, originally, by the way, for those of you who don't know, from 10 years ago, used to be 240 questions. And 1 million people took it that way, 240 questions. Then we got it down to 120, and now we got it down to 96. So that's a good starting point for you, for me, for all of us, to know ourselves, to know our character strengths, to know that we have these 24, but also to know that we have some strengths that are going to propel forward strongly within us and propel us forward in our life particularly strongly. And so that's those signature strengths of us, those most energizing, most essential qualities in us. So this is all around knowing ourselves. And a big part of this is to be thinking about yourself through the lens of these character strengths, to understand yourself through these character strengths. So in other words, whatever your number one strength is why is that the case? Why is gratitude your highest strength? How does that come across in your behavior? Why is love number 4 for you? How does that come across in your behavior? So that's how we're making these connections then with knowing thyself. And then another part of this first phase of knowing and being known would be expressing yourself to others. So that's the being known for your character strengths. So to be expressing those best qualities to other people. Many times it can surprise us that people do not see us through the same lens that we see ourselves. And what we found in doing Character Strengths 360 surveys with thousands of people is that in general, this is just an anecdotal statement, so not a research-based statement, but in general, about half of the top strengths people tend to see in us, whereas the other half, on average, people often don't see. So there is an opportunity for every person here to express themselves a little bit stronger through their highest character strengths. And so then you would be known to more of those people in your life through your highest strengths. So for example, when I complete 360 surveys, which means other people are naming what they think my best strengths are and how they see them, people are usually quick to spot my curiosity, my strength of love, maybe even fairness to some degree, perspective. But oftentimes people don't, and this is the last time I did the 360 was a while ago, so maybe people would now, but originally people never spotted my strength of hope. And so that's that sense of being very future oriented, being very positive, being optimistic, being someone that sets all sorts of goals and tries to accomplish all these goals. And so that's one of the strengths I certainly take most pride in, and it's one of my highest of high strengths. So that then told me back then, a few years ago, that perhaps I need to express my hope even stronger so that I am known to others through that strength. And why is that important? Because it's who I am as a person. It's a core part. It's not the only part, but it's a core part of who I am. And if others aren't seeing that, then maybe that matters. Maybe I need to be showing it even more strong. So that's this first phase. And so here it's a lot of reflecting, journaling, thinking about your strengths. So that's what we would do if you engage in this experiment. For the next 3 days, you would be kind of exploring this concept of knowing and being known to others through their strengths, through your strengths. And then we come to appreciating and accepting. So again, not just applying it to others and appreciating the strengths of your relationship partner or your boss or your coworker. This is again twisting it toward yourself. So do you accept your signature strengths? Do you appreciate them? And I'll tell you a fairly common reaction. We've never done research on this, but a fairly common reaction to people after they take the VIA survey is they say something like, I wish I had other strengths. And they don't necessarily mean all of their top 5 strengths that they wish they had, but they usually have like a longing for the strengths that feel tough to people. Like bravery feels tough, and perseverance feels tough and strong. Leadership. And then people are sometimes disappointed. Wishing that they had those in their top 5 or top 6 or top 7 or something. And so, of course, those people can work on those and develop those to be more important, more relevant in their life. But it also tells me something that I wonder, it just becomes a question for me. I wonder, is this person not accepting their best qualities? What are they missing about their top 5? What are they not appreciating, accepting? I mean, so certainly, yeah, those other strengths I just mentioned, if they're not in your top 5, you appreciate those too. But what's wrong with your top 5 would be the question back to why can you not accept some of those? Is there some issue that you have with your own strengths? And for some people, it's just not understanding that prudence is a very good quality to have, and they maybe think that it's a negative thing or something. But sometimes there's some work that people have to do on accepting who they are and their best qualities. And once we accept that in a very positive way, not a resigned, woe is me acceptance, like there's nothing I can do, I guess I just got to live with myself like this, but more of an active acceptance, like this is great, because any of the 24 are great. So you can apply that to any of them. This is great. I can accept this. And it opened up new doors for me. And then the other part of that phase is appreciate. Can you appreciate those best parts of you? To get at the appreciation piece, just as a reminder, last week, so 1 week from today, you'll recall doing the mental subtraction activity, where we took a signature strength and we took it away from you took it away from yourself. And that was really a big part of that, is about learning to appreciate one's best qualities and have a sense of inner gratitude for one's best strengths. So you could do this mental subtraction activity for each of your top 5. That would be a way to kind of play around with this phase of the model here. Another way is savoring, prolonging the positive. So to sit with your strengths, sit with them. What does that mean? To just sit with the good in you. How often do you do that? And to give yourself that sense of appreciation that way. If you wanted a question to think about for this phase, it would be around valuing. Why do I value this strength, this strength, this strength, going through your top, we'll just say 5, to pick an arbitrary number, your top 5. Why do I value each of these? Those would be types of things, types of questions to help you along with the appreciating and accepting phase. And again, Ruth and I will be suggesting through the Facebook community that we're all part of, with reminders about every 3 days or so, twice a week basically. So 2 of these phases per week. So those 2 phases would take us to basically next Monday, and then you would then look to nurturing, and take about 3 days for this phase. So what is this phase of nurturance? Well, nurturance is to really give yourself space. To give yourself space to build the character strength. In the case of our signature strengths, we've probably built them up quite a bit already, so to expand upon them, to see them in different ways. And research shows very clearly that if we expand our signature strengths, to think about them in new ways, that's a boost to our well-being, boost to our happiness, a boost to our flourishing, a decrease to our depression. And it literally increases our strengths use. So those are some pretty powerful benefits, especially at this time of isolation and coronavirus struggles and so on, to have a strategy like that to nurture our strengths. So what would you do? Well, in this nurturing phase, you would think about new ways to use each of your signature strengths. You would deliberately work on spotting your signature strengths and different aspects of your life. So perhaps at times of stress, when you maybe it doesn't even occur to you to think about strengths, because we're narrowed. Stress is very narrowing. It narrows our mindset. It gets us more anxious and we see less. And so to say, oh yeah, that's right. In stressful times, I'm going to look to use my signature strengths in new ways. Then we begin to see like this, kind of go around and we see different things. We can see through the stress, and we can see kind of around it, and our strengths expand in that sense. So that's about some of the things we've talked a lot about here, looking for the good, finding the exceptions of the good. And I had a conversation, I'll say a frustrating conversation with a family member a couple days ago, in which they were being very negative about the current coronavirus situation, and it was negative around the stress and the discomfort of everything. And so I honored that and said yes, and we talked about the negative feelings, the uncomfortable feelings, but then I said, but also, where's the good? Where's the positive? What are the benefits of this coronavirus situation? What are the gains from it? As we've talked about, looking for the meaning and so on. And they couldn't do it and wouldn't do it, is maybe a better way to say it. And so then I started pointing them out. I started pointing out some, that they were able to connect a little bit more time with their family, a little bit more time for this and that. And they then started to say that I was just stretching it. I'm using the positive to kind of, I'm desperately looking for the positive, or just kind of stretching the truth to find the positive. And so that was the way the conversation went. And I walk away from that kind of thing thinking that, for one, it's difficult. It must be difficult for that person to be operating, for one, but then also it's very imbalanced to approach things that way, to never look for the good or the positive. It's sometimes people think they're being honest by looking at the negatives and focusing, but it's actually very dishonest to not look for the good. And there's plenty of positives to see too. It's not like the green of the trees is gone and the smile of people around us and the good that's in this world. It's not like that's all disappeared. Yeah, I know that we're in dark places and it's hard to see them, but both are still there. So this is what the nurturing is about. It's about, still despite everything, we find ways to nurture the good. And then there's the repairing, resolving phase of this model. And so this is where we use that honesty, character strength, to look directly at our struggles, to look directly at what is triggering us at this time, what is most upsetting to us at this time. And we face our difficulties directly, which is what mindfulness is all about facing our suffering head on. This is where we're honest with ourselves about our hang-ups and what bothers us about other people, and when other people might be overplaying their character strengths, too much curiosity or too little kindness or too little teamwork, and how it irks us when they overuse or underuse their strengths. So this is where we would be tuned into those sorts of things. And we have to be honest with ourselves of when we might be imbalanced in bringing forth our strengths too much or too little. And we then aim to repair, which is to kind of manage or kind of resolve that particular issue, or to just find some sense of healing for it. So some sense of bringing that awareness to it and doing the best we can with it. So this phase has a lot to do with self-reflection on our afflictive emotions, on our conflicts, on those things that upset us, and trying to bring it to the light rather than sitting there in the pain. To bring our own suffering to the light is what this phase is. And then that final phase of this particular model, again, us turning it toward ourselves, is growing. So rather than, it's not about growing together with another person, but instead this is about how do you grow as a person. So what is your ongoing growth process going to look like with character strengths? How might you empower yourself? How might you keep up your character strength practice? So character strengths are the spark for the growth to help you to keep going. If you were to set up a ritual, we set up rituals for exercise habits, eating healthy, rituals for meditation, rituals for all sorts of different health habits. Well, character strengths are a health habit too. So what can your ritual be in this growing phase to help you to keep growing as a person for really the rest of your life, but at least for the next few weeks, we would say. So that phase is about reflecting on that growth. How will you keep it going? What strength habits will you form, or will you strengthen? One of the things I've been doing lately, the last 23 weeks, is going through different character strength cards. So there's so many different people that in the world that have created character strength cards, but this is one of the decks. This one says hope. And so I have 24, and so what I've done is that I pick a different one each week. And then once I pick the strength, I set it to discard the card. And my task for myself is to, whenever I think about it, to use that strength as part of my mindset in whatever it is that I'm doing. And then I take notes on it. And I usually use my iPhone to kind of take notes and gather insights. And I don't put a whole lot of pressure on myself with this activity, but it's one way that I've been growing my strengths, growing myself with this particular work. Okay, so that is the phases. So we will set up kind of cues and things to think about for this. And again, about every 3 or 4 days, so 2 a week. And we'll maybe take a poll on who wants to participate in this so we get a sense for that. But before we do that, why don't we move into a meditation to maybe bring all of this together. So a brief meditation, and to kind of set us up moving forward as well. So I'll invite the bell, and we can also end it with a bell. So I invite you to take on a posture of strength, whether you're sitting or standing. Allow your body to feel strong in this moment. It might have been a crushing day of stress, of tension, of chaos. Or it might have been an enlightening day, a happy day, an excitable day, or maybe some mix of the two. Whatever it is, allow yourself in this moment to live in this moment, not the moments of the stress, or even the moments of elation and joy from earlier, but this moment. So in this moment, you can take on strength in your body, whatever that means to you. So feeling strong with how you sit and how you position your spine and your feet and your hands. And your eyes can be open or closed. And feeling your in-breath and out-breath. Allowing yourself to feel strong with this in-breath and with this out-breath. I want to invite you to be present to you right now. It's a little bit about knowing yourself, or that journey toward knowing yourself. So it starts right here in the present moment. So being present to you, to what's going on in you. Present to your body, present to your feelings. Present to your character strengths. attuned to any strengths that might be stirring around within you. Knowing and acknowledging that you're on this journey of self-awareness. And that you can express these strengths to people in your life so that they can see you. They can see the real you. And who doesn't know the real you in your life? That you would wish that they would. So from this knowing and being known experience, you'll find that you can easily unfold into the future phases. The phases of appreciating, accepting yourself, of nurturing who you are, of repairing, resolving conflicts and struggles in yourself. And of growing you. And we can do this work together as a community.